spiritual food for thought.
Welcome back to Spiritual Food for Thought. I thank you for joining me once again. In this video, I'm going to ask the question, was Luke wrong in what he said here? It's interesting the stuff that people believe. If you look out into the world and see some of the beliefs people hold, you can't really be surprised at some of the stuff people believe. I mean, it's what they do. But I recently had a video talking about the law of God and the law of Moses, and I made the claim that they're the same thing because Moses was the author, but God's the one who told him what to write. And a lot of times what people do is they want to distance themselves from obligation to obey. Therefore they say, oh, well, that's the law of Moses. The law of Moses doesn't apply to me. I follow Jesus or I follow God or something else. They say that's for the Jews. I'm not a Jew. And they keep trying to come up with these, what I believe are false scenarios to distance themselves from obligation to obey. And if you actually look at some of the things that are recorded, it becomes rather absurd. I once had a video about the 613 commandments for the Jews, and it's ridiculous, some of the stuff that these people are fighting against because they're not thinking about what they're saying. But here, there's something very interesting in the Gospel of Luke, and this is chapter 2. It says in Luke chapter 2, starting at verse 21, after the birth of Jesus Christ, "And when the 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, his name was called Jesus, which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb. And when the days of her purification," which is his mother, Mary, right? "When the days of her purification according to the law of Moses were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons." So I really want to look at verse 22 and 24 here, but 23 is worth noting as well. But it says that the days of her purification, after giving birth to a male child, according to the law of Moses, were accomplished. Let's go look that up once in the law of Moses. So what we find here is that Leviticus chapter 12 is the chapter that's referred to. You can read the whole thing if you want. I would recommend it. But it says here in verse 4, after having a male child, "And she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 33 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come to the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled." That's what's being spoken of here in Luke chapter 2, verse 22. "And when the days of her purification according to the law of Moses were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. She shall continue in the blood of her purifying 33 days, and she shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled." So according to Luke chapter 2, verse 22, when we read Leviticus 12:4, that's the law of Moses. Now if we go to verse 24, it says, "To offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons." And Leviticus 12 is only 8 verses long. For the sake of brevity for this video, I will not read the whole thing, but I suggest that you pause this video and do. But what I'm looking for now is just verse 8. "And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons, the one for a burnt offering and the other for a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for her, and she shall be clean." So Luke here, verse 24 of chapter 2 says, "And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. And if she's not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons." That's what Luke is referring to in the law of the Lord. So now the question that I pose to those, besides did Luke get it wrong, because people are going to claim that I have it wrong for claiming that the law of Moses is the law of the Lord or the law of God. If that's not the case, then are you seriously telling me that within the 8-verse chapter of Leviticus 12, verse 4 is the law of Moses and verse 8 is the law of the Lord? Do you see how that poses a problem? In the same book, Leviticus, okay, same chapter 12, Yet, verse 4 is referred to by Luke 2:22 as the law of Moses. Verse 12:8 is referred to by Luke 2:24 as the law of the Lord. Do you see how if they're not one and the same, we have a problem? It's very interesting too if we back up to verse 23. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy unto the Lord. If we go to Exodus 13:2, it says, sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and beast, is mine. That's where that's recorded. There's a few other places too, but they're all in Exodus and Numbers back in the Torah, penned by Moses. Yet Luke here is saying, that's the law of the Lord. So I just want to throw that out there for those of you who are attempting to be whole Bible believers and believe that these things that are written, okay, pertain to us. And we compare it to the book of Hebrews. We see that, well, there's a change in the priesthood, change in the stuff pertaining to the temple or the tabernacle, a change in the sacrifices, right? That's why there's not an earthly priesthood or sacrifices or temple right now. But what we find is that there's plenty of stuff that exists outside that realm that is still able to be obeyed. Things like the Sabbath, things like the dietary law, things like tassels, right? Things like his new moons or his holy days, his feasts as some people call them. All that is not dependent upon a Levitical priesthood being in place. And I think that it's the law of the Lord. And if I love him, I want to obey him. In fact, last I checked, that was the whole duty of man. And that's why in the future, those who keep his commandments have a right to enter his holy city and partake of the tree of life. Anyway, what do you guys do with Luke chapter 2 there? If you look at those couple verses, law of Moses, law of the Lord, law of the Lord, is he saying they're one and the same? Or is he making some sort of tricky distinction between the two that you're going to have to take this verse is law of the Lord, this verse is law of Moses. I know they're the same chapter, they're right next to each other, but we kind of got to tease those out. What do you think? For me, I'm going to say Luke's not wrong in doing so, and I'm going to say I'm not wrong in doing so. In fact, if we back up to the book of Psalms, it says here in Psalm 103, verse 7, he made known his ways unto Moses, his acts unto the children of Israel. So God, Yahweh, our creator, Yahovah, right? He made known his ways unto Moses. That's why Moses writes about these things pertaining to the Lord. That's why thus saith the Lord is often recorded. I hope that helps. Be blessed. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.